state. Without those tax credits, 37,000 American jobs, including potentially hundreds of jobs right here, would be at risk. Colorado, it's time to stop spending billions in taxpayer subsidies on an oil industry that's already making a lot of profit. And let's keep investing in new energy sources that have never been more promising. Rapid growth in the collective. That's what I'm running for. I'm running because in 2008 I promised to end the war in Iraq, and I am. I promised to go after Al-Qaeda and go after Bin Laden, and we did. We set a timeline to end the war in Afghanistan to make Afghans responsible for their own security. And we could not have done all this if it had not been for our outstanding men and women in uniform. Here in Pueblo, the home of heroes, you know what it means to care for our veterans. I want to thank you for everything you've done and are doing to look after our men and women who have worn the uniform. And I promise you that as long as I'm Commander-in-Chief, this country will care for our veterans and serve them as well as they've served us. Nobody who's fought for our country will have to fight for a job or a roof over their heads when they come home. So my plan will create a Veterans Jobs Corps so we can put returning heroes back to work as cops and firefighters in communities that need them. And I want to take about half the money that we're no longer spending on war and let's put people back to work. Do some nation building right here at home. Let's renew our roads and our runways and our wireless networks. And let's work on our water infrastructure. You know, here in the Southwest, you know, water is the lifeblood of our communities. It was 50 years ago this month that President Kennedy came to Pueblo and he signed the Friark Bill. Today, my administration is making sure, 50 years later, that you've got the resources to finish the job so that we are leaving your kids and your grandkids clean water, clean drinking water that is long overdue. That's the kind of investment in America that creates jobs now and makes life better for the future. That's what this election is about. That's the America we want to build. For Colorado, I'm trying to make sure that we're once again the country that leads the world in education. I want to help our schools reward and hire the best teachers, especially in math and science. I want to give 2 million more Americans the chance to study at community colleges and get the skills they need for the jobs the businesses are hiring for right now. I want to get colleges and universities to bring tuition down once and for all. Because in the 21st century, higher education is not a luxury. It's an economic necessity. I want to make sure none of our young people who are willing to put in the effort are locked out of opportunity. The stakes are big in this election. On every issue. On home ownership, my opponent says, let's just let foreclosures bottom out. That's his answer. What I say is, let's let every homeowner refinance at historically low rates, save you $3,000 Mr. Romney wants to reverse the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. Let me tell you something. Right now, 6.5 million young people can stay on their parents' plan because of the health care law I want. Millions of seniors are seeing lower prescription drug costs. We are going to make sure that if you've got a pre-existing condition, you can now get health insurance. We're not going backwards. We're not going to take that away. And we're certainly not going to follow Mr. Romney's lead and go back to the days when women didn't have control of their own health care choices. Mr. Romney thinks don't ask, don't tell was a good idea. I think anybody who loves this country should be able to serve this country. Mr. Romney believes in something called self-deportation. Thinks Arizona is a model for immigration laws across the country. I think we did the right thing to say that a young person who comes to America, is brought here, is raised here, is friends with our kids, is going to school with our kids, is American in every single way. On every single one of these issues, there's a choice. And it's about whether we go back to the failed policies of the past or whether we actually finally start once again working around that core idea that built this country. The idea that if you work hard here, you can make it. The idea that in America, everybody gets a fair shot. And everybody does their fair share. Yeah. And everybody plays by the same set of rules. Yeah. Woo. The idea that in America we rise or fall together. And government can't solve every problem. And it shouldn't try. And it certainly can't help folks who aren't willing to help themselves. Right. But there are some things that we can do together as a people that makes us all better off, that makes our country strong, and that our economy works best when the middle class is growing and feels secure. There you go. Now I got to tell you, we've got less than 3 months left in this election. Less than 3 months. Time's flying. And over the next 3 months, you will see more negative ads, more money spent than you've ever seen in your life. I mean, these super PACs, these guys are writing $10 million checks and giving them to Mr. Romney's supporters. And basically, they all have just the same argument. They all say the same thing. They say, the economy's bad and it's Obama's fault. Every ad is the same argument. Now let me tell you something. That may be a strategy to try to win an election, but they can't hide the fact that they don't have a plan to grow the economy.